from WBBZ-TV Sports. It's time to beat the champ. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Peck and Sue Novoitsky.
Welcome to week 2 of Beat the Champ here on Grand Island with Janelle Sabin and Sue Novoitsky. My name is Paul Peck. Well, I don't know quite what we saw in week 1, Sue, of our action here at Island Lanes. We saw Andy Reddick get off to a great start, and then the lanes sort of like that changed, and it means Rocket Rob Piccoli is the guy who's bowling first here today.
Right, and we have a very diverse field, and you know they say timing is everything, and I think that had a part to do with last week too, is the timing of them when they hit each other. But it's a part of your execution, but it's also a part of what's happening on the lane at the time that you meet somebody. And with this, we've got a lefty, we've got a two-hander, we've got a house bowler who's really familiar with these lanes. So it's going to be, what are the lanes like when each bowler is on them? So we can't predict.
Yeah, Rocket Rob Piccoli is our returning champ. Pat Brick, Chris Labiak, and Tom Digati are the 3 guys that are lined up to try to knock him off today. It's good to have you back, Janelle. We've missed you.
Thanks, Paul. I'm so glad to be back. It's been a really crazy summer, but I'm back here at my scoreboard, and I'm ready for it.
All right, she's back. Mike Mallwitz is back doing whatever Mike Mallwitz does. He'll join us later on in the show, but without any further delay, let's get rolling. Well, this should be a good one, a really good one. Rob Piccoli and Pat Brick to get us started week 2 at Mallwitz's Island Lanes here on Grand Island. And we know we didn't see Rob Piccoli's best in the last match last week. Still a win, but when Rob only bowls a 202, you know you're not seeing Rob's best. I don't know that 202 is going to be enough to win a match against Pat Brick, but depending on what the lanes here did in the week between our shows, we'll find out.
Exactly. It is definitely what you're bowling on that dictates the score.
So Pat Brick, the lefty, will lead us off here, and he'll lead us off with a spare opportunity. 15th appearance on Beat the Champ for Pat Brick. His record incredible at 17 wins and only 8 losses. Those 17 wins are number 3 on our all-time list of wins since we brought the show back 4 years ago, trailing only the greats Mike Zarcone and Chuck Jagosinski. So Pat Brick has been outstanding on this show.
And you know, we have to, not to like bring up the righty-lefty thing, but we have a lot of talented left-handers in this area, and we've seen a lot of them on this show. You know, Andy, obviously, Reddick, and Jason Siliberto. We've just seen some great left-handers, and Pat is the highest grossing left-hander. So
I think
that
you could safely say he's the best of the left-handers. So, and a nice little nudge of the 10-pin gets Rob Piccoli a first frame strike. I'm only slightly distracted by the giant.
I know. I just caught it on the side of my eye.
Has just arrived here out of the corner of our eye. Mike Mallwitz always has something ready, particularly for our annual Halloween show, and there we go.
Mike went from scorekeeper to bowling pin.
Yes, well, that's a real stretch of his talents.
It's not Mike.
You sure?
Well, if he puts his hands on his hip, we'll know it's Mike.
All right, Mike, let's see Rob follow up that strike with another one. That first one got a little lucky. That one was pure skill for Rocket Rob Piccoli.
So Rob did change balls off of last week's show where, you know, he only shot the 200.
By the way, we are in the Halloween theme here.
We're ready.
Fully, aren't we? Yes, we are. Happy Halloween to everybody coming up in a couple of days. All right, so Pat now spare in the first frame. Last time we saw Pat was just last month at Classic Lanes. He won 3 in a row before losing.
Nice.
Strike for Pat Brick.
We did see with Andy Reddick how, you know, wherever the shot has pushed the left-handers to have to play, carry is not as good. So we saw the challenge of the 7-pin for Pat. That one he went for the light swisher hit, and that carried. So that might be a better alternative to go for a little light hit.
You saw Janelle Sabin back manning the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard with the very early results of this one. We're just underway between Rob Piccoli and Pat Brick. It's week number 2 here at Mallwitz's Island Lane. So Brick slides over to lane 7 for frame 3.
Very nice.
I think these guys have got a few things figured out.
Yeah,
maybe.
that was not, that definitely was not light. That was definitely high flush.
16th appearance on our show for Rob Piccoli, overall record of 13 wins and 12 losses for the 34-year-old from Kenmore. This is the 4th month in a row he has been on our show, and that's amazing. I can't tell you how impressive that is. He has had to qualify 4 different times to make this show out of sometimes over 100 qualifiers.
That's right.
And when you do that, that's what happens. Got a little cheering section. We got a great crowd here at Island Lanes. This is one of the best crowds we have had for one of our shows, maybe ever in 4 years.
I know, and as the weeks go by, it just increases and increases.
Yep. Unless Mallwitz is giving away free stuff to get everybody out here today.
They just shut down the throughway. 190's closed.
There's a mysterious detour over here to Whitehaven Road. Something else interesting about Rob, and I mentioned 4 months in a row is incredible, but he's had 11 wins in 2019. That is only trailing Chuck Jagosinski's 14 since the calendar year. So Chuck and Rob have been 2 of the best guys this year, and a chance to add to those list of wins and number of wins for Rob. So 3 strikes and a spare for the first 4 frames for Rob Piccoli, already putting a little pressure on Pat Brick.
This feels like a good time to take a short break. We'll be right back with more action on Beat the Champ.
Instant replay on Beat the Champ is brought to you by Transit Lanes and Keglers. Join us for bowling, food, and drinks.
Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV.
Great shot.
Over 40 years of bowling experience for Pat Brick, and a lot of accomplishments in those 40 years. Pretty much not much he hasn't won, which is why he is a Hall of Famer. What?
I've been bowling with him for, you know, we're the same age. I've been bowling with him for most of that time.
Well, then you've had the front row seat to one of the best bowlers ever in Western New York. I mentioned, I don't know that there's a Hall of Fame that Pat isn't in right now.
And that's because he's put himself out there. You know, he's bowled on the state level and the national level. He doesn't shy away from anything. He loves to bowl. Except for this moment.
Yeah, except right there, yes, where a pin went flying around and left the 6 pin.
Well, he knows, he's bowled enough matches to know that there's no room to not carry now. He has to take chances because spares aren't going to be enough at this point.
Spare in the 7th frame for Pat Brick.
He's down 20 halfway, you know, he's 30, almost 30 halfway through the match, and Rob's showing no signs of letting up.
Nope.
4 out of 5 strikes.
Yep.
And the other one could have went. It was just a bad pin collision.
Yep. It's been an impressive bounce back from, again, it was a win last week's show, and just a 202, but a win, and both guys, he and Andy Reddick, struggled a little bit as the lanes started to change. But
well, we talk about these lanes being different, and you know, it's hard to tell from back here. And we've got the mix of lefties and righties, but Rob is using a different ball on the right lane and a different ball on the left lane.
Interesting.
So there must be something different going on.
3 in a row, 2 sets of 3 in a rows for Rob Piccoli, as you can see on the Castellone scoreboard.
Oh, I take that back. He picked up the same ball now. He did have a different one earlier in the match, but he's gone to the same one. After that 7 pin, he threw that one in the garbage. He said, forget that.
Sometimes that's all it takes, right?
Great shot.
Another strike. That's 4 in a row for Rob Piccoli. He is in a groove. Whatever that last match against Andy woke everybody's eyes up a little bit and woke them up to what might be happening here. It's all about how you adjust, and Rob has got the adjustment down.
Well, you know, they haven't changed a lot from when he finished his match with Andy. So this, whatever ball change he made has really been the right one for him.
Nice strike for Pat Brick in the 8th frame. Pat made it a point to say he was privileged to be invited to one of the social events of the entire summer, the Novoisky Muni wedding.
Oh, he did not say that.
He did say that. And I could say the same thing. It
You
was
were
an
there.
honor to be a part of it. We had a great time. Hung out with Pat a little bit, and we had a really fun time.
Yeah, you might have saw a few people you knew there.
Yes, I did. Yeah, sure did. You know, you two guys are big-time celebrities, so it was a celebrity-packed wedding.
What was really was funny is I work at 99 Brick Oven, and while I was working, a fellow at the bar said to Craig, "Oh, you're the bowler's husband." He said, oh, "So you're like a bowling, so you're like a bowling groupie."
Was Craig ready for that one yet?
Craig, he can't get over it.
Did Craig just hold up his Stanley Cup rings and?
He goes, "I guess Stanley Cup rings don't mean anything." I go, "Nope, not around
that
bowlers."
hurts. That hurts a little bit, but it legit. You are the bowling star. Right now, the bowling star is Rob Piccoli with 5 consecutive strikes. Pat comes back with 2 in a row, and Rob comes right back with another one.
Yeah. This is we're almost going to see the same thing we saw last week, which is domination until they change again, and they will continue to change. So this is where I think that Rob might have because he's able to just throw it a little bit harder. He can stay in the same place a little bit longer, and that will be to his advantage to not have to, move.
Right up that second arrow and right to the pocket, and all the pins go down for a 6th consecutive strike.
And by my math, this match is already over because he's got 219, 210 in the 8th. Yes, this match is definitely over.
Well, we're going to watch Rob finish it out here. An impressive performance. Can he wrap it up with a couple of more strikes and put up another big? We had some big numbers. We had the 268, 269s by Andy Reddick last week. That's a ring around the 10. Won't get him another strike. And he'll finish this off and post up a winning score. Rocket Rob Piccoli, 2 in a row now, and an impressive victory over one of the titans of Buffalo bowling, Pat Brick. And there you go. He grabs the spare, and Rob Piccoli, an impressive 268. We've had 3 268s so far in our 4 matches. And that is really good stuff, and it's enough to get Rob a big win over Pat Brick. We'll check in with Pat, get his take on what the lanes here in Grand Island are doing, and get you ready for the next matchup, which is a different kind of bowler to come at Rob Piccoli. We'll see how that shakes out. Sue and I are back from Grand Island right after this. An uncharacteristic short stay for you, Pat Brick. We've been trying to figure out what these lanes are doing. Give us your take on what you felt.
Yeah, it's never fun to be one and done like that, but Rob made a ball change from last week, and it proved to work out perfectly for him. I mean, 260s are hard to beat. So he definitely deserved to win. And I had one lane a little bit different than the other, but had some carry issues. 3 7-pins, missed one of them. But it is what it is. I'll be back next month. So
yeah, hopefully. I know you hope they didn't. There's always a pretty good chance that you will be. Mike?
It was kind of similar to last week in Andy Reddick. When you post a number like that, it's hard to beat, no matter who you are, no matter what's going on in the lanes. Like 260 is hard to beat.
Yes, it is.
Right? So, but the legendary Pat Brick, always a pleasure, sir. Here's some easier pain medicine.
Right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
The legendary Pat Brick and the legendary Mike Mallwitz. We've got legends all over the place. Will Rob Piccoli start to write more chapters of his legend? We'll find out. He's got a big match coming up. It is next on Beat the Champ. Match number 2 should be a good one. Rob Piccoli, we know how well he is bowling, but the challenge now is going to come from a guy who's going to throw it a different way. It's two-hander Chris Labiak. We've had Chris on our show. This will be the 6th time we've had him on the show, and he's been very good. 6 wins against only 3 losses. We haven't seen him in, boy, it's over 2 years the last time we saw Chris. Yeah. Tonawanda Lanes back in July. Wow. Tonawanda Bowling Center back in July of 2017. And that's what you get from Chris Labiak, and a strong two-hander is a lot of roll and a lot of power and a lot of noise when it hits those pins.
Right. It's that high rev rate that they create that gives them excellent carry when they hit the pocket, and I think that's been what's desirable for the young people who can do it to want to do it.
Yep. Chris is doing it because of injury. We'll talk a little more about that. But now Rob Piccoli coming off a super impressive 268 performance over Pat Brick, and
something didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Hey, you know how hard it is to pull up once you've got that momentum going?
You've said that to me. We've seen that a couple times over the years. You've mentioned how hard that is.
But there's some people that are good enough that when their steps get out of whack, that they can stop. And, you know, it could have been that, it could have been a feel thing, but that's amazing pulling up like that.
And if that's the results that you're going to get out of it, then that was a smart move by Rob, who probably doesn't want to waste a frame at all.
I've seen that, like, there's like a 99.9% strike percentage after somebody pulls up, in my experience.
Interesting.
Like, my longtime doubles partner, Michelle Sterner, could pull up like that, and she struck like 99.9%.
Wouldn't have guessed that. You would think it might throw you out of your routine a little bit.
Right.
All right, so Rob and Chris are both here for business based on what we saw in the first frame. 2 wins in a row for Rob Piccoli. The victories over Andy Reddick and Pat Brick, that in itself is pretty impressive. And that's 2 strikes in a row for him now. So Chris Labiak converted to the two-handed bowling method because of some injuries that he had, and he's become very successful at it, and he also has the ability to bowl it right or left.
Right.
Because he has a 230 average when he bowls right-handed, a 210 average when he bowls left-handed. Clearly for this match, he's going on the right side.
Yeah, after he saw the lefties bowl, there was no choice in that one.
Yeah, and if there's that much of a difference, he wants everything he can get out of what he'll bring to the table here. So.
Yeah, the left side sort of because of Andy being out there for a couple of matches, and then Pat, and the way they play it similar, it really just you know, really wore that lane out, similar to what you see on the right side. But what we've seen on the right is really guys that throw it hard and straight. Oof.
And that's an early mistake for Chris Labiak as he misses the. See now, is that a little bit of the difficulty of the way he throws it? He had to move himself all the way to the left and kind of throw it at an odd angle. To me, it seemed.
I think they compensate for that with spare balls. I think we'd have to ask them, because sometimes they do put their thumbs in the ball to shoot their spares. So the two-hander's a little different when it comes to that for spare shooting.
All right, so Chris will slide over lane 7 and get right back to striking.
The spares have been costly for people today. It's the striking's come easy, but you know, when you stop carrying, you've got to be able to make those spares.
Yep, we've had a lot of strikes here. Rob and Andy played a big part of that. And like I said, last match Rob had 6 in a row after first 3, so he had 9 strikes in that last match to get his 268. So we've had 4 matches. We've had a 268s and 269 so far. And Rob is 3 for 3 so far in this one. 12 wins now in the calendar year of 2019 for Rob Piccoli, sneaking up on Chuck Jagodzinski, who has 14 2019 victories. We'll see Chuck on next week's show, and the way Rob is going, that those 2 guys might be bowling against each other.
I'll tell you, that middle time when the lanes still are playable to the right, you almost look at Rob and look at him as almost unbeatable, because he's got that awesome ball speed. If you look at the way he comes out of the ball, he doesn't do a whole lot to it. He can just keep it on line, and it just stays there. And you know, so he's not depending on a whole lot of roll to like hit the dry and do funny things. So he can just stay there. Only when he's pushed in super deep, when they really start to break down, are you going to see you know, maybe something that won't favor his game. But during this in-between time, he's just devastating.
3 strikes and a spare to start things off for Rob Piccoli. Chris Labiak, 35 years old, from North Tonawanda, employed in the healthcare industry. He's got his dad and his girlfriend and his good friend Mr. Dale here cheering him on at a crowded Island Lanes on Grand Island. Not only crowded because the giant inflatable pin is in the back there,
I
taking
just
up
saw
like
him.
4 seats. And that's the first one that Chris Labiak sort of let get away from him. And he's looking at quite the challenge here. Not often you got to worry about a 4.76 pickup.
No, you're right. And your opponent's not missing the pocket, and he's already got potentially 2 opens here. This is a very difficult spare to make. It's makeable, but it's tough.
What's the strategy here? You want to
you do see
send that 4-pin flying?
There is a little space there, the way it's set up between the. Oh, he's putting that back up. So there's a space between the.
We've seen Mike Mallwitz contort his body in ways that no human being should.
He's everywhere, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
But it's almost a little bit, could be a bit of an advantage the way the 4 and the 7 are a little bit separate.
Right, so we've got an extra. He put that pin back, so
he
so
did.
It's
it
4,
won't
7,
change.
4, 6, 7, 10,
yeah,
basically.
It won't change. Really, the ability to make it. Oh, he's going the other side. Okay, I'm going to tell you why that surprised me.
Okay.
Because he did have that space, that opening between the 4 and the 7. Then he went for the pins that were a little closer together. When myself, I would have went for that opening. And
well, he got
tried
the
to slide
pins
it across.
flying. It just didn't fly where it needed it to fly.
This looks like a good time to take a break. We'll be back with more Beat the Champ right after this. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. But the nice thing is, again, Mike talked about it, moving is a problem here because transition, you move to a whole different spot and you start not carrying. The longer he can stay there, the better off he's going to be. And he can just throw it a little bit harder and stay there for, he's got some time left.
Good bounce back strike for Chris Labiak.
Yeah, he finds himself in a difficult position here with the 2 opens against a guy that
on fire.
Really is going to be hard to miss the pocket the way he's thrown it.
Chris holds a couple of house records around Western New York, both for high series. Kenmore lanes through an 869, Tonawanda lanes through that 878 we mentioned. So it's been a terrific career for Chris, and again, all kind of prompted by some injuries that he had that forced him to move to the 2-handed bowling method.
And we talked earlier about how it was very challenging to shoot those 800s because of the way the lanes change. It's hard to keep that line going that long, and those are giant 800s.
Yeah, those are closer to 900s than they are 800s.
They sure are.
We mentioned Rob's incredible dedication to the sport. Bowls in leagues on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and the Travel League on Saturdays. So that goes hand in hand with what we talked about, how much better a bowler he's become.
Well, it's probably a lot of fun when you strike that much.
Oh, if you bowl like you're bowling the way he's bowling, why wouldn't you want to? You're not sitting around on the couch watching TV. You don't have to. 3 in a row for Rob Piccoli. Do you call 3 in a row something other than a turkey as we approach the month of November?
No.
No? There's no?
Nope, it's a turkey.
There's no change to that?
I don't think anybody's going to dabble with that long time phrase. Whoa.
Whoa, that was... Yeah.
Whoa.
Rob had a smile on his face after that one. There was lots of stuff going on that one.
Yeah, he didn't want to leave a 5-7-10. Now that's a lily.
Wait, it's a what?
It's called a lily.
Is there a reason why?
I'm not sure. I'm sure there's a reason why, but it's not desirable.
I get that sense. Spare for Rob Piccoli in the 8th frame.
somebody sees one of those, they see that from 20 lanes over. They're like pointing fingers.
There's Janelle on the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard giving you the rundown, and the score is Chris Labiak's working a couple strikes here, so that trying to get himself back in this one against Rob.
Well, he needs every one of them, or this is going to be an early exit.
Well, so far so good. 3 in a row for Chris. Did you get the sense when I was talking to Pat Brick how disappointed he was? You know, the one and done. Just even the body language from Pat. He holds himself to such a high standard. I think he was mad at himself for that. And Rob bowled 268. Not much he was going to do about it.
Right.
But guys like Pat Brick show up here expecting to spend the afternoon.
They do. You're absolutely right about that.
Right. They didn't make any other plans on this day. And that's might be a critical 10 pin.
That's
for
got to be it.
Because he had that 3 in a row, and he was pushing, getting those scores up. So he rescues the spare in the 9th frame, but that one's going to hurt. That one's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And now Rob has a chance to finish things out here.
Well, Rob needs probably about 9 pins in 2 frames. So.
Next up for the winner of this match, Tom Digati, waiting to see who he's going to bowl against to wrap up week 2 here on Grand Island. And that should finish it off.
That finishes it off.
It does. Rob Piccoli continuing to bowl terrifically, I guess would be the better way to say that. He's been great. He's been fun to watch. He's been great. He is locked in. Going to have another big score after the 268 that he bowled in the first match. So Rocket Rob Piccoli, you're rocketing him his way to the potential for a sweep of the week. We will come back, talk to Chris about his match, and get you ready for our final match as Rocket Rob Piccoli throws another one and gets another strike. A win for Rob Piccoli. We're back to Grand Island right after this. I've worked with a lot of co-hosts. This one's a little bit stiff, but Chris Labiak, tough bowling for you up against a really hot challenger.
Yes, Rob, he bowled spectacular today, and when you get a guy who's hot like that, you better bring your A game, and I had some issues myself out there. I was trying to control the friction, and I was able to do it for the majority of the game, but we had a couple frames in the middle there where you got inside, got in trouble, and I could see that the 10 pin's still haunting me here.
Yes, so, pins are still haunting. They're haunting. They're going to be haunting all of us here, right? But a good performance as well, and it's always good to see you, and you've really kind of refined the two-handed system to the point where you're really successful with it. You feeling good about bowling that way now?
Definitely. The thing is that bowling is the one thing that I love to do. So whether it's bowling right-handed, left-handed, just to be on the show and with the competitors such as Rob, I'm just happy to be here.
Look at that. You put him on a commercial.
I know, right? Like, seriously, like the face of what bowling should be all about right there. That's what we're talking about.
That's
just
good.
Get on the lanes, bowl, have fun. That's what we're all about, right?
Absolutely.
And but it looked like you ran into a little over-under there, right?
I did. That's why I was trying to control the friction a little bit. When you get it right, closer to the gutter, ball would want to jump, and then inside there was a little bit of oil. So
a little bit of flaky, like waiting.
I tried to counter that with using a salad just to kind of smooth out the shape. But you also have to execute the shots, and I had some issues there too.
I'm just trying to plan out 2 weeks from now when I'm trying to repeat as the House Baker Championship.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Getting your insight?
So, yeah.
Okay.
I was watching you.
Go talk to the pin. He might have something for you. Give him a little money. Make him feel good.
All right, here you go, Chris.
Thank
Rob.
you.
All right, good performance by Chris Labiak, but right now Rob Piccoli's on a roll. Can he keep it on a roll? Stick around. We're finding out next. Rob Piccoli going for a sweep of the week, and that's the man standing in his way. Tom Digati from right here on Grand Island, making his Beat the Champ debut. Can he derail the Rocket Rob Express? We'll find out. So, but the way Piccoli is bowling, averaging 239 in his previous 3 wins, and that includes the 202 that got him his win over Andy Reddick. Tom's going to have his work cut out for him, but this is home, and he's used to doing that.
Whoa.
So a good start for Tom Digati.
I'm not sure if you heard that in the background, but that was Brandon Digati, Tom's brother.
And that is Mike Mallwitz, fresh off his successful stint as fill-in scorekeeper here on Beat the Champ.
How'd I do? Did I do okay?
You did great. That pirouette will wind up on the Beat the Champ highlight reel forever.
That'll be a YouTube.
Yes. A YouTube sensation. I'm not sure about sensation, but a YouTube moment. So
I don't know. I think I got sensation on it.
It was pretty, yeah, it was close. Of course, Mike, the proprietor here at Mallwitz's Island Lanes and one of our biggest supporters of Beat the Champ, and our buddy, good to have you on here. We brought you on here because Tom's one of your guys. He's a Grand Island guy through and through, so you can provide some insight into what kind of bowler he is. How big is the challenge for Tom based on the way you've seen Rob bowling?
Well, as I talked about last week, Rob should bowl league again here because, you know, you learn a little bit more when you bowl league.
He keeps winning, you might convince him of that.
I know. He used to bowl league here, but Tom does bowl league here. He's been bowling league here since he was 10, 13 years old, something like that. Like, totally grew up bowling here. So he knows all the ins and outs. He knows how to adjust. He knows exactly how to adjust to carry that 10 that I was talking about last week.
Right.
Which is, you know, the biggest thing.
Right, which is kind of we're almost seeing a replay of week 1 where the person dominated for 2 games, and now you're gonna, you know, he started out already without the carry. So he changed balls. I think he's got a plan, but he's got some tough competition here, knowing how this place transitions.
Oh yeah, I mean the transition is key here, and like I said, if you know how it transitions, you know what the moves are to make. And Tom bowls here multiple times a week, so he knows what to do right here. Now,
there's a difference between the 2 sides here, isn't there? Is there
a little bit?
Like, this is the high-scoring side, right? Or
actually,
no?
this year it's a little different.
Really?
Yeah, the high side is kind of going nuts with scores. Yeah, it's really weird. Normally, this was the highest scoring side. But this year, for whatever reason, the lanes 13 through 24 are scoring like through the roof.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Is this side newer, Sue was wondering? Were they both built at the same time, or is this one side newer than the other?
The lanes are at the same time. The other side, before my dad bought the place, the guy took out the machines and didn't have bowling over there. So he had like square dancing and stuff like that.
Square dancing?
Yeah.
You're thinking of bringing that back?
No.
Oh, okay. After the pirouette that you did, I think you might be pretty good do-si-doing.
Do you want to see after the show?
I do not. Never, ever, ever. Thank you. All right, so 2 strikes and a spare for Tom.
That'll be an outtake on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Right? we keep adding. We're making that list of outtakes on YouTube. All right, Rob's got 2 strikes in the first 2 frames and seems to be pretty well locked in here. Let's see what happens frame 3. I would say lock-in is continuing.
Yeah,
see, Rob has has a plan.
He didn't forget when he did bowl league here.
Yeah, right.
He knows how to adjust.
Well, he works right here, right down the street, so how come you haven't been able to get him to convince him to walk across the street and,
I think
bowl the league?
This little run of Beat the Champ might have a little persuasive influence on him.
I think you're right. Tell him his prize money is only redeemable for credit, right?
Yeah.
Right?
It's good for league bowling fees and nothing else.
It's a gift card for his place, and he gets a locker key, too.
Free locker.
All right, let's see if Rob can keep the string alive here. He most certainly can. That's 4 in a row to start for Rob Piccoli.
Sue, did you see where his ball hit the lane? Like how early he set it down?
I was blocked by the cameraman.
Right, by the cameraman. Next shot, watch where his ball hits the lane, and that is key to carry the 10-pin here. You have to get the ball on the lane early to let the ball get into its roll.
I should strike all day then.
And that's because you need it to start, to get that start.
It needs to start rolling early to face up at the right time in order to carry that 10 pin. A lot of bowlers will bowl here and they'll complain about leaving 10 pins, but their ball is just in the skid phase for way too long, and it doesn't get into that roll early enough in order to face up and enter the pocket.
Is that something that you can change or adjust, or the way you bowl is the way you bowl?
No, you can loft it more. You can set it shorter for sure, and you can manipulate your eyes even with that. If you bring your eyes in, you're going to set the ball down shorter. If you move your eyes out and you move your target out in the lane, you're going to loft it more. So you could always control it as simply as that if you want to set the ball down shorter.
The Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard shows a terrific match here. Strikes across the board except for 1/3 frame spare for Tom Digati. This one is shaping up as a good one, and let's see what Rob does here in frame 5. That's the first one he's missed. What happened there?
I'm going to say his feet got fast because he seemed to, when you pull it across your body like that, it's normally because you're quick. Oh, Rob.
Part of the thing about laying it on the lane soon is it's easy to tug the ball like that. So you have to make sure you're going to lay it on the lane soon, early, but you have to follow through. Like, you have to take extra special care to follow through.
That's a very good point.
So both guys with 4 strikes and a spare in the first 5 frames, so this one is tight.
The action will continue on Beat the Champ in just a minute.
Instant replay on Beat the Champ is brought to you by Transit Lanes and Keglers. Join us for bowling, food, and drinks.
Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
And Mike, you've been on our show before. You've qualified. You know how hard that is, right?
Honestly, I'm a professional Beat the Champ loser. every time I'm on the show, I lose. It's so, I mean, it is so hard to win because all the bowlers are good, right?
Boy, skirting the right side of the lanes.
That's
for
some ball
Tom
speed
Digati.
right there.
Yeah, all the Beat the Champ bowlers are good. So it's hard just to win one match, let alone making it month after month after month. I mean, it's impressive, the guys that do that.
Well, I was talking to Paul about earlier, it's not only making the show, it's when you make the show. It's so critical, whether you're 1 to 9, who you face off at what time in the match. So whatever state the lanes are in can be advantageous to one bowler or another at that time. So there's so much more into it once you make it.
And I think that's what's so incredible as this show has evolved, and we are headed towards next week being our 150th competition show. Nice. It starts to give us a body of work and a body of results that those names I rattled off, Chuck, Mike, Pat, Jeremy, like what they've done is incredible based on everything you said, Mike, how hard it is to make the show even through qualifying and then get on the show and who are you bowling and how are you bowling and what are the lanes and is it a lefty or a righty?
Right, and are you changing houses? Are you bowling the 3rd match and then having to move to another house, or do you have the opportunity to bowl all day, or just so many factors into this.
Yeah, if you bowl the last match of the day, that's your first match, and you win, then you move to a different house next week.
Where you don't have to qualify to learn the lanes.
Yeah, you don't have to qualify. Interesting note, Andy Reddig did attempt qualifying for this show, for this month's show, and he just did it for prize money, and I think he also did it just to get a feel of the lanes.
So you didn't walk in here cold?
Yeah.
Yep. So you saw a couple of spares in a row by Tom Digati, and in the meantime, Rob Piccoli is just racking up more strikes, as you can see on the Castellone scoreboard. Rob getting ready for frame 7 here.
Well, it's pretty much a tie match in the 5th frame, and Tom just having 2 spares is giving Rob an opportunity to double and get ahead here. And there it is.
And that's kind of what Rob has done. Every time the opponent sort of slips up just a little bit, he jumps in and pounds a bunch of pins and takes control.
For Rob, when he's in a condition like this where he can stay straight up and just start throwing it just a little bit harder if he needs to, he can stay in the same place a lot longer than somebody else can.
He's just going to stay safer. You know, he might leave a 10 pin here or there, but he's going to be there in the pocket every shot.
You won't see formations, right? He's up 10 now. This would give him an opportunity to go up 20 pins.
And there it is, third strike in a row. Now a 20-pin
That's a big triple.
lead.
That's kind of what the Buffalo Bills need to learn how to do, is finish the opponent when you're up.
You missed a very high-level discussion Mike and I had about the Bills' season to this point. He is already focused on a division winner-take-all matchup against the Patriots, and he's already got, I think, early plans for the Super Bowl going.
Well, kind of a Buffalo tradition to be like that when our teams give us something to be happy about in the beginning of the season.
But don't you think this year's a little different, Sue?
Yeah, I think it's different for both teams, believe it or not. I think that the Sabres have a different feel about them too. It's more, you know, it's more of a feeling, more of a spirit. It's not, I don't know, I just feel the difference in the teams. You don't have that losing feeling, that, you know, like that dread, like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, the here we go again feeling is absent in both teams.
That's a good point. That's a great point on both teams. So the 33-year-old attorney from right here on Grand Island, Tom Digati, kind of struggled a little bit on the backside here, and it help your motivation when you just see the way Rob is bowling. That's 3 spares in the last 4 frames for Tom.
I mentioned earlier that Brandon Digati, the loudmouth in the back, was Tom's brother. Yeah, believe it or not, I mean, look at Tom. Clean cut, you know, tucked in shirt, very polite.
Attorney.
I asked if they were raised in the same household.
Yeah, Sue asked me before the show if they were raised in the same household. Believe it or not, they were. I like to say Tom is the most normal one out of the bunch.
Well, speaking of
lack of overachiever.
Speaking of lack of normal, what do you got prepared for us in 2 weeks on the annual Island Lanes Challenge?
Well, I told all my boys to show up early.
Oh, they did.
Oh,
I know, they did.
Yeah.
It's not even lunchtime yet.
Most of them are here. So yeah,
yes,
they're all ready to go.
But here's the thing: you've got a couple of them coming up in next week's show. You've got Andy Moran.
Andy Moran.
Did he make your?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Andy coming up next week is also on our 4th show in 2 weeks.
And so is Jeff.
Jeff Craigham is also on that show. So we have, I mentioned earlier that Rob used to bowl here. So between this match and then all 3 matches next week, Chuck Jagosinski used to bowl here on Tuesday nights. Then you got Andy Moran and Jeff Craigham. So that's Island Lanes bowlers galore, which goes to show you if you know how this house works, because they had to qualify, right? So out of all the qualifiers, they made the show. And I think it goes to show you that they know how the house works, how to carry the little tiny moves that you need to make in order to knock that 10-pin down. And that's proof right there.
By the way, 5 straight strikes for Rob Piccoli.
And that confirms the win over there. Yep. How about rental shoes, or where's Mike Johnson?
House Shoes Johnson?
Yeah,
House Shoes Johnson.
This may be the first time we've been here that Mike wasn't on the show.
Yeah, I know. He made the top 24, and he struggled a little bit the one game in the top 24 roll-off for the final 9. I thought he was going to make it, but he just struggled that one game with a little bit of carry issues. So, but you'll see him in 2 weeks on our house championship.
All right, thank God, we're worried.
Another big score put up by Rob Piccoli, a 254 to continue his impressive performance. It's 4 wins in a row for Rob. We'll talk to Rob, we'll talk to Tom. We'll get you ready for next week's show, which features Chuck Jagosinski and the Grand Island boys. We'll do that when we come back to Mallwitz's Island Lanes. More Beat the Champ right after this. Boy, it was one of our best matches of the day, 254 to 225. Another win for Rob Piccoli. Tom, you bowled well. You just ran into the hottest guy in town right now.
Yeah, got one outside and left a couple of 10 pins, but can't complain. Nice game, Rob.
You had a good cheering section as well here?
Yeah, he's quite loud. But my little guy was here passing out cookies, and I had a good time. So.
It was good. Well, it's good to have you on the show. All in all, pretty good debut. And unfortunately, you just got to keep hanging around this guy. So
we have fun, right, Mike?
Right, absolutely. That's what it's all about. And I appreciate the cookies. Angelo, his son Angelo, we share the same birthday.
They were very good. Oh,
yeah, we're birthday buddies.
The cookies were excellent too. Make sure he knows. Like, give him a little money, make him happy.
There you go.
All right, thanks.
All right,
good job, Tom.
Yeah, those were excellent cookies. cookies, by the way. And 769 for your 3 games today. So you defied the laws of transition and kind of losing your ball reaction. What was the secret? You did change balls, right?
Yes, and I knew I needed a quicker ball to get through the pins, and that's when I used the idle there for the first 2 games. And then I kind of wore that spot out, so it was hooking a little more down lane, and so that's when I went straighter like I'm used to, and was able to carry the 10 pin.
And I think that's a great example of how easy you make it look for the viewers, but how much thought and how much preparation is actually going into these moves, right?
Oh yeah, mental game is key, and Tom, he's a great competitor, and he bowled well too, so.
Well, that explains why we see Rob so much right here, because
yes,
all of that, I couldn't have said it better myself. That's exactly.
Locked in. He is locked in physically and mentally. He's going to stay locked in because he's going to put that 4-match winning streak on the line for next week's show. Sue and I will have a preview when we come back to Grand Island. Well, it's 4 wins in a row now for Rob Piccoli, an average approaching 250. What is he doing so well, Sue?
He's got a plan. I mean, he's just not going out there watching what the lanes are doing. He is actually on top of the moves before they happen. And that defied transition, which we obviously saw Eddie not be able to do. So good for him. I'm sure he's got a plan for next week, and he's going to need it.
Oh, yeah, he's going to need a really good plan because the first match of next week's show is must-see bowling TV. It is red-hot Rob Piccoli against Chuck Jagodzinski. That will start off our show next week. I'm glad you're back, because I can't wait to see you writing a lot of strikes down for that one.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, I'm so glad to be back. I've missed a lot, and I came back, and everyone was so happy to see me, and it just makes me feel welcome. This is a family,
well, that's awesome.
So that's great.
Well, that's great. It's good to have Janelle back. It's good to have more great bowling to give to you, the bowling fans of Western New York. Make sure you're here for what should be a great show next week. For the whole gang here at Mallwitz's Island Lanes, we'll see you next week on Beat the Champ.